Alien
Controversy.
3. Now, I had the Super Nintendo video game. I put that in here because...
I got the Genesis one.
Because it was quite enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, it was quite good fun, that game. Okay, I'll let you start with this one. What do you think of Alien 3? Poster's great, yeah.
So I had a problem with the theatrical on this one. This is the one that I really prefer the director's cut.
I think I agree. I agree with you
because it works with the physics of the world. When they kept on going on like, oh, it's just like Kane, it's about as tall as he is and stuff, and then the other one comes from a dog and it's, I don't know, the size of a cow.
Yeah.
And then in the theatrical or the director's cut, it actually is a cow, so that makes total sense. And they halfway explained, like the they didn't really explain the egg in the ship, but they did explain, like, it's a much bigger face hugger. It's like a queen face hugger, so it could get multiple eggs off, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because that's why she's got a queen, and then that's why there was the one face hugger, like 2 eggs. Is because, and I mean, fans have speculated like, oh, it's smart, so that's why it sabotaged the other 2 pods or whatever like that. And I mean, that's fan theory right there, and muddled editing. But the biggest problem, like I said before, that I have with this is all these characters, except for Charles S. Dutton, being more like he's actually got a character being like the religious guy that wants people to be disciplined and stuff. And then you've got obviously the warden, but most everybody else is just like a dirty, bald inmate.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of, there's some good actors in there. Well, I guess you got Charles Dance in there too, the doctor.
Unless they have an actual really good actors. Yeah.
There's a lot of great actors in there, but they were given nothing to do, and there's very little to distinguish them from the others. And the nice thing about the director's cut is it does fill in a couple other deaths where in the theatrical they just kind of disappear.
You get Paul McGann, who's a brilliant actor who basically is cut out of the entire theatrical cut.
Yeah. Was he the one that went in the corridor? I can't. There's a couple of them that they just cut the deaths right out, and they just disappear, and you just have to assume they're dead because they're not there anymore.
It's difficult for me to hate a movie that's got actors like Brian Glover in it. It's a big budget movie. But the first time I saw this, the fact that it essentially starts by killing off the characters they saved in the previous movie.
Right.
First time I watched it, I just couldn't get over that.
It's like Terminator Dark Fate.
I just spoilers, guys. I just could not get over that. And the tone of the movie is so depressed. It's so kind of doom-laden.
This is also supposed to be the last one. I mean,
but
this is like Friday the 13th final chapter. They weren't supposed to go forward.
It was too pretentious. It was too serious. Like Sigourney Weaver demanded that her character be killed off, so they had to do that. That's the kind of ego of the star actor, But everything about this movie is wrong, as far as I'm concerned.
They tried too hard to replicate the first one.
Yeah, but the problems were all there. It was David Fincher's first movie. It's not his fault that it doesn't work.
A music video guy.
Yeah, I think they hired him thinking they could control this guy, but he was actually trying to make a good movie.
Sure. But he went over budget over time. They got angry, started like micromanaging. It was a huge mess from the get. Never mind the fact that they changed the story and the script like 4 times just before like production actually started. I mean, it used to be like it was like a whole wooden planet, and there was
they had William Gibson, sort of cyberpunk author, who wrote a script for them. They had what's his name? The guy that was going to direct it. Benny Harlan was involved as well.
Oh yeah,
at one point. Even that would have been more entertaining, I think.
This started off closer to like an Isaac Asimov story or something like that, and then it kind of, they were like, no, we need action, and then no, we need like more of the first one. And what are you doing? What are you giving us?
Vincent Ward, he was going to do like a wooden monk planet, wasn't he?
Yeah.
All these things that were kind of weird, and I think eventually it just came down to Walter Hill and David Giller, however you pronounce his name, who are. I mean, Walter Hill's one of my favourite directors, along as Pete mentioned in the chat earlier, one of his favourite directors. But I think he dropped the ball with this film as a producer.
I think they should have just done like the toy line and had like the aliens get into like a zoo, a space zoo, and then you would have had like gorilla aliens and snake aliens and like Gremlins 2 or something like that, because the toy line was insane with all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
All kinds of animal aliens, mantis aliens. How a facehugger gets on a mantis, I don't know, but it had some good points to it, though. I can't dismiss this movie. I still like it, especially compared to the last two efforts.
It had good points. I don't like it. I don't think I could. I appreciate what works on it,
right?
But I don't like it. It's a badly conceived movie.
I'm a big fan of giving a movie a break if I know that they had a hard freaking production and they still came out of it somehow. So you watch the documentary and you find that there was like not a day on set that went right.
Yeah, the documentary that was more entertaining than the movie.
Absolutely, it was. But I mean, the fact that they made it through, somehow soldiered through it and got it done. Like I got to have some respect for it for that reason. Yeah. I'll watch it and say like, this is a miracle this thing even exists.
Yeah, I mean, if the documentary, I think it's definitely it's on every release now. It's been in the last couple of years. It's about 90 minutes, and even that documentary, they've cut stuff out because people are telling you honestly what they think, and the lawyers have said no, we can't put all of this in here.
This was a merchandise movie. There's more merchandise off of this one than anything else.
Yeah, and it's so not a merchandise movie.
Right.
It's incredible.
I mean, just looking at like the SNES and Genesis stuff, there were toys everywhere for it. There was, I'm surprised you didn't get a cartoon, like Rambo or something like that. I'm really surprised.
Yeah, I think the producers dropped the ball, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And Monkey thinks it's low rent after the first. It does feel that way.
It was terrible. It was terrible planning from the get-go on this. And the studio was like, we need a hit. And you're going to make sure it's a hit because we're putting some money into this. Yeah, and there's a lot of pressure and terrible. It was rushed.
Totally. A good point. Cape's right. I think that's true. She demanded there were no guns either.
Oh, she had a lot more say in this one.
Yeah. This is the perfect example of why you shouldn't listen to actors. Because for the most part, with one or two exceptions, they're good at turning up and reading the lines and being a character on screen. But when it comes to creative ideas, if it's not just to do with their character based on a script, just tell them to be quiet and get on with it.
Of course, I think this was, like being a first-time movie director, he didn't exactly have the pull to be able to say, hey, stuff it, I'm making a movie. I mean, they hired a yes man, or so they thought.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out that way.
Yeah. I think so.
Because he actually cared about what he was doing.
This is Ash and Jackal's favourite of the three.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good.
I don't know. It's very different.
I can get that. I can understand that because strangely enough, I tend to gravitate to the darker versions of things. But in this case, I think it's because I have this problem with sequels that kill people off from the first movie, and it always kind of annoys me.
So you don't like slasher flicks, huh?
In slasher flicks, that happens all the time.
I know.
But you expect it in slasher flicks, but in every other kind of flick. But the thing is, it's like a slasher flick sequel is like a continuation of that story. So the last person there,
for better or worse,
comes in, for better or worse. But when it comes to some movies or most other movies, try and do something interesting with the characters, other than we have to kill them off in order to move the story on.
Of course, there's a slasher element to the first and third Alien flicks. Would you say it's always picking them off one by one kind of thing?
Yeah, no, but even at that, 2 breaks that because 2 is all about the relationship, sort of the mother and child relationship, with Ripley and Newt, and friendship, and actually surviving. It's about survival. I don't know what this film is about. It's like it's all over the place.
It's about making money. Alien 3, the breakfast cereal. Alien 3, the flamethrower. The kids love that.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting to me about this move is usually, you know how it is, especially in games and stuff, when a game does particularly well, Resident Evil 4, they usually take it and just move it in that direction, period. That's just how it's going to be for the next 4 or 5 games. typically in movies, that's the same thing. For whatever reason, this didn't happen for this movie. That was a big smash. The action thing was a big smash. Aliens proved that they could be a cool, like, beehive kind of threat. But then they go back to the first one and try to do that again, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, I think when you get... Well, I think they tried to do different things with it, going by the scripts that came beforehand that they didn't film.
Well, I mean, bringing it back to a single alien, isolated, no weapons, really, stuff like that.
Yeah. I think the single alien, though, tends to be scarier.
It's just that complex is too big to be a haunted house.
Yeah.
They took the setting from the second one and they tried to put the first one in that setting.
The complex doesn't really work either as
a harder going,
as a theme. I still can't really get my head around it when I watch it. All these weird bald guys that are just interchangeable.
Just there, pouring lead.
I know. Although I get what Pete's saying here. It's like all this weird talk about Alien 3 has made him want to sit down and give it another look.
Why not? I'm going to do it again. But and they even had another lunch scene in this, but it was wasted because nobody really did anything. It was just like, don't look at that woman. We're just going to sit here quietly and eat lunch.
Yeah.
And when you want to show the difference between characters, that's the perfect time to do it, like the other two had success with. But in this case, it was like, peek your head down and don't look at that lady. Okay. And then, the warden comes in, you will all listen to me. And then she gets killed. I really wish the one guy that he was the second in command to the warden. He was like the one that was like kind of dim. I wish he would have played his role from Wayne's World 2. When he was like, well, the shopkeeper is somewhat different story altogether. We had to beat them to death with their own shoes. We got the brown M&Ms for Ozzy, and he had a great show.
It would have definitely added another layer to the movie.
Like a weird old burnout.
Yeah. This is an interesting film to watch. It's a mess. It's got some good stuff in it.
Maybe that's what it is. They needed more extremes in their characters as opposed to just a bunch of rapists. You needed
But they don't have characters. That's the problem with this film. The first two films had...
Yeah.
They cast brilliantly what were broadly written characters. So by casting them brilliantly, they give them life. Here they don't have any characters really, apart from perhaps Charles Dance, like Peeps mentioned in the chat earlier. His character's the only character in here you kind of find interesting.
He's the only one with really a backstory.
Yeah, exactly, because it's the only one that they bothered about. So you've got these great actors trying their hardest to imbue some kind of life with no script.
Charles Dance good in whatever he's in. You remember The Golden Child? Like, that's a silly movie. But dang it if he didn't bring his all.
So does this film live up to the test of time, Statto?
I'd say blindly. Yeah, I think so. I think if you're just watching it by itself, not knowing anything about it as a monster movie, I think it's okay. But like for guys like us, it gets bogged down a little bit in the lore. It's a little slower than the other ones. Either way, either direction. They do kind of that Peter Jackson and the Hobbit situation where, you've got 3 people that actually have a bunch of lines and the rest of them are just background decoration and fodder, which is, again, why I praise the second one so much, where they had so many characters on screen, but they all found a little time and a little personality. And this one dropped that completely just because we got to give Sigourney Weaver more time. But I would say it does, especially considering, I have to put it up against Covenant and Prometheus. I still think it's a better movie than those.
Yeah, I get everything you're saying there. I can't get past the fact that the first time I watched it, it just depressed me. And then when I watched it, it was years later on the DVD. It took years before I went back to it again, and I watched the director's cut, and I appreciated it more. But I still couldn't get past the fact that it depressed me. One
thing I'll say about the director's cut that I like the theatrical over is there's the scene at the end when Ripley throws herself into the lava.
Yeah,
and the alien breaks out of her cage, breaks out of her rib cage, and she snatches it and she grabs it. and holds it all the way down. That was a much better ending than the one that was in the director's cut, where she just kind of fell.
Yeah, I think they're both terrible. I think they're both.
I'm going as objective as I can.
Yeah, I know. It's good that you're doing that. But
yeah,
no.
I mean, the hard thing is, like, the next one we're talking about, you know, I like it enough, but it's got a lot of those Whedonisms that where everyone's feckin' snarky and just like, so, you know, kind of stuff that it's hard for me to juggle which one I like more, the serious or the overly everyone's got too many lines kind of situation. But yeah, we'll get into that now.